Hey, and welcome back. Today I'm going to start a series on 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and many of us know that that is known as the love chapter. It has a lot to say about love, but I want to begin today by explaining the reason why 1 Corinthians 13 was penned. It was actually addressing a problem in the Christian church, and if you go back chapter 12 of 1 Corinthians 13, we see that where the gifts that God had given to the church, prophecy and speaking in tongues and healings and the workings of miracles and, in general, the gifts of the Spirit, that the church was not functioning in godly order. And so Apostle Paul brings some teaching to show them how it's meant to function, how people are supposed to conduct themselves, and which leads us to chapter 13, because Apostle Paul had noticed that the people were so taken over by the gifts, it became their primary focus, and the love for one another began to just fade out. And Paul's going to bring in a correction to the Christian church. Now, I understand that 1 Corinthians 13 is read out at weddings and in times funerals, and that's not a bad thing, but I think to initially understand that the 1 Corinthians 13 was initially written to bring correction to the Christian church that began to lose its way and its identity as a Christian and as a church, because they were losing the very focus of the love of God that was in them and in them. And so when it says in verse 1 of chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians 13, it says, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I've become a sounding brass and a clanging cymbal." And so, a person can have the most amazing ability to learn several different languages. I know in our church we have some people that speak 7 different languages, and I take my hat off to them, praise the Lord. I'm glad that they learnt it. I wouldn't even attempt something like that, but good on them. And it says here about how some people speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and so of some kind of a heavenly language, and what an amazing thing that would be. But Paul is saying, as good as this natural ability may be, if it is not motivated by love, it really doesn't mean much. And goes on to say that I have become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. I remember hearing a procession going down a street one day of a particular religion, and they had many, many people with these clanging cymbals, and they're just clashing them and banging them, and it was going on and on and on, and it was just so annoying. And it's the same thing with a person that, they say that I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, in other words, saying or boasting of their natural ability, but when love is not mixed in with it, if it's not motivated by love, it can become quite irritating to people. And so when we start speaking about 1 Corinthians 13 chapter, the love chapter, we need to bear in mind that initially Apostle Paul is addressing an issue in the Christian church. And you know what? I really believe that this is something that each individual Christian, I think we all, starting with myself, need to evaluate ourselves, see where we are at in our love walk with humanity, how we treat people, because 1 Corinthians 13 has a lot to say and a lot of direction given to us as to how we live our lives and how we treat others. Anyway, join me tomorrow and we will continue on 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.